At my son's birthday party, my granddaughter grabbed my arm in a panic. "Grandpa, let's get out of here," she urged, her voice trembling. I was stunned. Why, I asked, my heart racing. "Just go, please," she begged, her eyes wide with fear. I trusted her instincts, and that decision saved me from a terrible act planned by my son. You won't believe what he intended to do. Before we continue, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know where you're watching from in the comments. Dad, I need you to listen this time without jumping to conclusions. Trevor burst through my front door mid-sentence, not bothering to knock. His confidence felt rehearsed, as if he'd practiced this moment in his car outside. I removed my reading glasses, slowly folded the evening newspaper, and set it aside. The leather armchair creaked as I straightened. "Evening to you too, son," I said, my voice carrying 40 years of dealing with overeager contractors promising the impossible. What's so urgent it couldn't wait for a proper greeting? He paced toward my bookshelf, then spun back, hands gesturing wildly. "This is it, Dad. The opportunity I've been waiting for, a real estate syndicate with guaranteed returns." I stood, moving deliberately to my filing cabinet and retrieving a manila folder labeled Trevor's Investments, 2019-2025. "Guaranteed," you say. I spread the documents across the coffee table. 15% returns, maybe 20. "Dad, this is different," Trevor insisted, his voice sharp. I pulled out a receipt. Like the Miami condos were different. $75,000 gone in 3 months when your guaranteed rental income turned into a foreclosure notice. Trevor's jaw tightened, his confident posture crumbling as he recognized the papers, bank statements, contracts, canceled checks, all chronicling his spectacular failures. "You never trust me," he said, his voice rising, echoing off the hardwood floors. "Every time I try to build something, you sabotage it with your negativity." I opened another folder. The cryptocurrency mining equipment that never arrived, $50,000 to a scammer you met online. Trevor's face flushed. "That was different," he muttered. I continued shuffling papers. The food truck business with a convicted felon as your partner, $30,000 in startup costs, lasted 93 days. Trevor grabbed his jacket from the couch, his movements sharp and angry. "You're impossible. This syndicate has real properties, real investors, real returns." I met his gaze. "Show me the documentation." He hesitated. "I don't have it with me." "Then you don't have my money." Silence stretched between us like a chasm. Outside, evening shadows crept across my lawn. A neighbor's dog barked somewhere down Maple Street. Trevor's shoulders sagged momentarily, then squared again. "Fine. When this deal makes millions without you, don't come crawling back asking for your cut." He stormed out, his footsteps heavy on my oak floors. The front door slammed, rattling the windows. Through the glass, I watched him fumble with his car keys, his earlier confidence gone. His engine roared to life with unnecessary force, gravel scattering as he backed out of my driveway. Too fast, tires squealing. Red taillights glowed angrily in the gathering dusk as his car disappeared around Maple Street's corner. I stood by the window, watching the empty street long after his engine faded. The house felt hollow, filled with echoes of raised voices and slammed doors. I moved to the kitchen, my feet finding their familiar path across creaking floorboards. The coffee ritual grounded me, grinding beans, measuring water, the steady drip filling the evening silence. 40 years of marriage had taught me that some conversations required coffee afterward, even when conducted alone. Steam rose from my mug as I carried it to my study. The filing cabinet drawer opened with a metallic whisper. Manila folders emerged in chronological order, each a lesson Trevor refused to learn. First, the Miami condos. The prospectus had looked legitimate glossy brochures featuring pristine condominiums overlooking Biscayne Bay. Trevor, then 34, had been optimistic about quick fortunes. The developer vanished with investors' money before breaking ground, $75,000 gone. Next, the cryptocurrency documents. Mining equipment that existed only in online advertisements. Trevor had shown me YouTube videos of supposed mining farms convinced he'd discovered the future of wealth. The scammer's website looked professional until it disappeared overnight, taking $50,000 with it. Then the food truck partnership. Trevor's business plan had impressed me initially locally sourced ingredients, a downtown location near the courthouse. But his partner had a criminal history of embezzlement. Trevor dismissed my concerns as paranoia. 3 months later, the partner vanished with the equipment and remaining startup funds. The coffee cooled as I reviewed bank statements documenting casino bailouts, Foxwoods Mohegan Sun, occasional trips to Atlantic City with Meredith. Small amounts at first, 500 here, 1,000 there. The requests grew after their marriage, just until my next commission check became Trevor's standard plea. Each folder told the same story, Trevor's eternal optimism colliding with harsh reality. Tonight felt different. His anger had been sharper, more desperate. His avoidance of eye contact when describing the syndicate, his vague answers about documentation. These were classic signs I'd learned from decades of screening subcontractors. I thought about Meredith's influence. Before their marriage, Trevor's schemes had been smaller, less frequent. She encouraged his grandiose thinking, pushing him toward bigger risks. Her expensive tastes required expensive solutions. The family photo on my desk showed happier times. Trevor at 18, accepting his high school diploma, pride shining in his eyes. When had that changed? When had he started believing success should come without struggle? My father had built our construction business with calloused hands and 16-hour days. I'd learned by carrying tools, mixing concrete, understanding materials from the ground up. Trevor wanted boardroom success without basement experience. The study lamp cast warm light across financial wreckage spanning 6 years, nearly $200,000 lost to scheme scams and poor judgment. Each time, I'd hoped this would be his learning moment. Each time, he'd convinced me the next opportunity would be different. But enabling wasn't helping. Every rescue delayed his reckoning with reality. I gathered the papers, methodically returning each folder to its place. The filing cabinet closed with finality. Outside streetlights flickered on illuminating empty sidewalks. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight's decision felt right. Sometimes the greatest kindness was saying no. I turned off the desk lamp and headed upstairs, leaving the study in darkness. Morning sunlight streamed through the kitchen window as I folded my grocery list into my wallet. The confrontation with Trevor felt like a distant storm, necessary but finished. Coffee had cleared my head, a shower had washed away yesterday's tension, and today offered the simple pleasure of routine tasks. I grabbed my reusable shopping bags from the pantry hook, checked my car keys, and headed for the front door. The morning air carried the scent of Mrs. Henderson's lilacs, blooming next door, perfect spring weather for errands, or my stride faltered halfway down the brick walkway. Something was wrong with my Honda. The car sat lower than normal, tilted at an odd angle like a wounded animal. All four tires were completely flat, resting nearly on the rims. My stomach dropped as I approached. This wasn't gradual deflation from age or weather. Each tire showed identical puncture marks near the sidewall, small, precise holes that could only have been made deliberately. I knelt beside the front passenger tire, running my finger around the rubber. A metallic object protruded from the puncture, a roofing nail, the same type I kept in my workshop for emergency repairs. Checking each wheel, I found the pattern repeated. 4 nails, 4 tires, 4 precise acts of vandalism committed between midnight and dawn. The timeline crystallized in my mind last night's argument, Trevor's explosive anger, his threat about not coming crawling back, and now this professional sabotage delivered under cover of darkness. I pulled out my phone and dialed Trevor's number. He answered on the 3rd ring, his voice thick with sleep. "Dad, what's wrong? It's barely 9 neuro. Son, I found my tires damaged this morning." All 4 punctured. A pause. When Trevor spoke again, his tone shifted to concerned sympathy. "Dad, that's terrible. Probably neighborhood kids. You know how they get during spring break." All 4 tires. Trevor. A professional job. Nails driven at exactly the right angle for maximum damage. Another pause. "Are you accusing me of something?" The hurt in his voice sounded genuine, but I'd heard Trevor lie before about gambling. Losses, failed investments, promises to change. "Just checking if you saw anything unusual when you left last night. Strange cars, people walking around. I drove straight home, Dad. Look, I know we had words yesterday, but I would never... This is vandalism. You should call the police." Should I? What proof did I have beyond timing and suspicion? His denial sounded convincing, and an accusation could destroy what remained of our relationship. "I'll handle it through insurance," I said finally. "Thanks for the concern." "Dad, wait. I'm sorry about yesterday, about everything. We both said things. Let's discuss it later, son. I need to call AAA." The roadside assistance operator estimated 45 minutes for a tow truck. I hung up and stared at my crippled vehicle, feeling older than my 68 years. Had I been wrong about Trevor? His voice had carried genuine shock. Maybe neighborhood vandals had targeted my car randomly. But 40 years of construction work had taught me to recognize patterns, and this one pointed to a conclusion I didn't want to accept. I gathered my shopping bags and headed back inside. The grocery trip would wait. Back home, with a turkey sandwich and yesterday's newspaper, I tried to focus on the sports section, but suspicion gnawed at me. The phone rang as I reached for my coffee mug, Trevor's name on the caller ID. "Hey, Dad, how's your day going?" His voice carried a forced brightness, like sunshine breaking through storm clouds, too quickly to be natural. No mention of our morning conversation about the tires or yesterday's argument. "It's been interesting," I replied carefully. "Spent the morning at Morrison's Tire Center. Oh, right, the vandalism thing. That really stinks. Listen, I'm calling with good news. Tomorrow's my birthday, and Meredith's planned something special." I set down my sandwich. Trevor's 40th birthday I'd forgotten in the drama of recent days. "Nothing fancy," he continued. "Just a family dinner at 6 Uriro. Molly will be there, a few close friends. It would mean a lot to have you there, Dad." The invitation caught me off guard. After yesterday's confrontation and this morning's tire incident, I'd expected silence, not a cheerful party invitation. "That's thoughtful of you," I said, testing the waters. "Come on, Dad. I know we don't always see eye to eye on financial stuff, but we're family." Molly specifically asked if Grandpa would come. She's excited to see you. The mention of my granddaughter stirred something protective in my chest. Molly was the bright spot in family gatherings, untainted by her parents' financial dramas. If she wanted me there, how could I refuse? What should I bring? I asked. Just yourself. Meredith's handling everything food decorations, the whole works. She's gone all out this year. That explained the expense. Meredith's all out typically meant costs that would strain Trevor's precarious finances. But that wasn't my problem to solve. Of course I'll be there. 6 on Laro Sharp. Fantastic. Oh, and Dad, thanks for not making a big deal about yesterday. I was stressed about work stuff. Took it out on you unfairly. The apology sounded genuine, tinged with the vulnerability I remembered from Trevor's childhood. Maybe I'd misjudged the tire situation. Maybe he was trying to repair our relationship. Water under the bridge, son. See you tomorrow. After hanging up, I sat in the kitchen, cautiously optimistic. Family dinners had been rare since Trevor's marriage to Meredith. Her social calendar usually relegated family time to holidays, but a birthday celebration offered a chance to reconnect. Molly would be there, excited to share her college adventures. Trevor might be in a better mood surrounded by friends and family. I finished my sandwich considering gift options, nothing too expensive to send the wrong message after yesterday's conversation. Something thoughtful but practical, a set of hand tools for his garage projects, or a book on business management he might read. The afternoon stretched peacefully. Tomorrow's party gave me something positive to anticipate instead of dwelling on punctured tires and family tensions. Perhaps this was Trevor's olive branch, his attempt to smooth over our difficulties. The timing seemed suspicious, but birthdays had a way of putting conflicts into perspective. I cleared my lunch dishes and browsed online for gifts, feeling hopeful about my relationship with my son for the first time in days. The next day, as the taxi pulled away from Trevor's house, I stepped onto the brick walkway, holding a carefully wrapped gift, a quality tool, set I'd selected after careful consideration. The evening air carried the aroma of barbecue and laughter from the backyard. Through the front windows, I saw more guests than expected for a simple family dinner. Trevor appeared at the door before I could knock his face bright with what seemed like genuine enthusiasm. "Dad, you made it. Come in, come in." The house had been transformed. Where I remembered modest furnishings, expensive decorations now adorned every surface. Crystal glasses caught light from a new chandelier. The food spread, visible through the kitchen doorway, looked professionally catered. "Happy birthday, son." I handed him the gift. 40 years, hard to believe. "Thanks, Dad. This means everything." Trevor's smile faltered for a moment, something unreadable flickering across his face. "Meredith, Dad's here." She emerged from the kitchen in an elegant dress that likely cost more than most people's monthly mortgage. "Glenn, so wonderful you could make it. Let me introduce you to everyone." The living room buzzed with conversation. Young professionals I didn't recognize mingled with wine glasses, discussing careers and investments. The alcohol selection impressed me, premium brands Trevor couldn't afford on his sales income. Grandpa Molly's voice cut through the crowd. She rushed over, wrapping me in a hug that felt like the most genuine greeting of the evening. "I'm so glad you came. Wouldn't miss your father's birthday, sweetheart. How's college treating you? Finals are next week, but I'm managing. Want me to get you something to drink? Dad stocked your favorite beer." Trevor materialized with an imported bottle I recognized from expensive restaurants. "Remember this one, Dad? You ordered it at that steakhouse in Portland last year. I accepted the beer touched that he'd remembered such a detail. Maybe his invitation was sincere. Maybe the tire incident was random vandalism, and I'd been too quick to suspect my son. The evening progressed with surprising warmth. Trevor's friends included me in their conversations, asking about the construction business with genuine interest. Meredith kept my glass filled, appearing whenever it emptied, with a fresh drink and a bright smile. "This is quite a spread," I commented during dinner, gesturing at the catered dishes. "Must have cost a fortune." Trevor waved dismissively. "Meredith's been saving for months. She wanted this birthday to be special. But the math didn't add up. The catering alone would have cost thousands, not counting the alcohol decorations and new furniture." Where had they found money for such extravagance when Trevor had begged for investment capital days earlier? Another wine. Glenn Meredith appeared with a bottle of Cabernet that likely cost more than my weekly grocery budget. "This pairs beautifully with the beef." I nodded, feeling the warm buzz of alcohol softening my edges. The evening's contradictions seemed less important, overshadowed by the pleasure of family celebration. Molly sat beside me, chatting about her psychology classes, her presence a reminder of what mattered. Trevor stood to make a toast, raising his glass with theatrical flourish. To family, to second chances, to the future. Everyone drank. The wine was exceptional, smooth, rich, probably aged longer than some of Trevor's friends. As the evening wore on, I relaxed completely for the first time in days. But something nagged at me. Trevor kept checking his watch. Meredith's smiles, while warm, never reached her eyes. Whenever I glanced around, I caught them exchanging meaningful looks when they thought I wasn't watching. The party moved into its third hour, with no signs of winding down. I settled into Trevor's new leather armchair, another expensive addition I didn't remember from previous visits, watching the animated conversations around me. The wine had left me pleasantly relaxed, my suspicions about tire vandalism and mysterious expenses feeling distant. Trevor appeared at my elbow with another drink. "Dad, how about I show you the renovations upstairs? We've done amazing work on the master suite." Now, I glanced at the ongoing party. "Shouldn't you be with your guests? They're having a great time. Come on, I want to show you what we've accomplished." His insistence struck me as odd, but before I could respond, Meredith materialized. "Oh yes, Glenn, you must see the new bathroom fixtures. We spared no expense." There it was again, no expense spared from people who supposedly couldn't afford basic living costs without my help. As I started to rise, Molly appeared beside me, her face pale, eyes wide with fear. "Grandpa," she whispered, gripping my arm with intensity, "you need to leave. Right now." I blinked, certain I'd misheard. "What?" Please, her voice carried urgency that cut through my wine-induced haze. "Just go. Trust me, something's wrong." Trevor stepped closer, his smile unwavering. "Molly, what are you talking about? Grandpa was just about to see the upstairs." No, he wasn't. Molly's grip tightened. "Grandpa, please, you have to go home." The desperation in her voice sobered me instantly. In 18 years, I'd never seen Molly look frightened, confused, frustrated with her parents, but never this raw terror. "I think I should listen to my granddaughter," I said, standing. "It's getting late." "Dad, don't be ridiculous," Trevor said, his cheerful facade cracking. "The party's just getting started. We haven't cut the cake." "Where are you going?" Glenn Meredith's voice carried a sharp edge despite her smile. You can't leave before we've properly celebrated. Their coordinated response triggered an alarm I'd learned to trust over 40 years in business. When two people work this hard to keep you somewhere, you need to be somewhere else. I'm feeling tired, I said, extracting myself from the chair, despite their hovering. Age catching up with me. Just one more drink, Trevor pressed. I have a special bottle I've been saving. Another time, son. I moved toward the front door, but Trevor stepped into my path. Dad, really, Molly's being dramatic. College stress, you know how it is. Molly made a sound like a sob. Tears were forming in her eyes. That decided it. Thank you for a lovely evening, I said, firmly, stepping around Trevor toward the coat closet. I'll call you tomorrow. But Dad, Trevor started. I grabbed my jacket and headed out. Behind me, I heard heated whispers between Trevor and Meredith, too low to make out, but urgent enough to confirm Molly's warning was justified. The cool night air cleared the last of the wine's fog. I called a taxi and turned back toward the house. Through the window, I saw Molly watching me, her face a mix of relief and worry. She pressed her hand against the glass in a goodbye gesture. Whatever danger she'd sensed, I trusted her instincts completely. As the taxi pulled away, streetlights cast moving shadows across the back seat. My hands trembled, whether from alcohol or adrenaline I couldn't tell. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror, probably wondering why I looked like I'd fled a crime scene. I dialed Molly's number, praying she could talk privately. She answered on the first ring. Grandpa, are you okay? Are you safe? The urgency in her voice confirmed my fears. Whatever I'd escaped was real and dangerous. I'm in a taxi heading home. Molly, what was happening back there? Why did you warn me? A long pause. I heard muffled party sounds, then a door closing. I overheard Mom and Dad talking yesterday, she whispered. They had a plan involving you and tonight's party. What kind of plan they wanted to get you drunk and make you sign business documents, something about transferring your company to Dad. The words hit like a physical blow. My own son plotting to steal everything I'd built over 4 decades. Are you certain, Molly? Grandpa. There were lawyers waiting upstairs in the guest bedroom. Mom kept checking the time, making sure you were drinking enough wine. Dad kept trying to get you upstairs for that tour of their renovations. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. The expensive party constant drink refills Trevor's nervous energy, Meredith's calculating smiles. They'd orchestrated an elaborate trap, and I'd walked right into it. How much did you overhear enough to know they planned this after your argument Tuesday night? Mom said you were selfish keeping all that money when Dad needed it for his investments. My grip tightened on the phone. They called me selfish. Mom was confident it would work. She said once you had enough drinks, you'd sign anything. Something about older people getting confused when they drink. The casual cruelty of their assessment stung as much as the betrayal. They'd reduced me to a mark, an obstacle to overcome through deception. Molly, listen carefully. You have to promise me something. What? Don't tell your parents about this conversation. Did they say anything to you about telling me to go? No, I said, I told you to leave because it gets dangerous in our neighborhood late at night. They think I don't know their plans. Good. Promise you'll be careful. I'll deal with this, but you have to stay safe. Can you do that? Yes. But what if they try something else? Mom was so sure it would work. You saved my life's work tonight, Molly. I'm proud of the woman you're becoming. The taxi turned onto Maple Street, my house visible in the distance. Mrs. Henderson sat on her front porch, her evening routine unchanged. I have to go, sweetheart. Thank you for being the only person in this family I can trust completely. I love you, Grandpa. I love you too. If you need anything, call me. As I ended the call, one thought echoed: this betrayal wouldn't go unanswered. The taxi's taillights disappeared around the corner as I stood in my driveway, fishing for house keys with unsteady hands. My home felt different, not just a sanctuary, but a fortress under siege. Evening, Glenn. You're getting home late? Mrs. Henderson called from her porch, wrapped in a light shawl against the spring chill. Good evening, Dorothy. Just visiting Trevor. I see you got your car fixed. New tires look good. I paused keys halfway to the lock. How did you know about the tire problem? She rocked gently in her wicker chair, then stood and walked to the porch railing. I was sitting out here Tuesday evening. I like the evening air. I saw something troubling, but wasn't sure if I should mention it. A chill ran down my spine. What did you see, Dorothy? I think you should know what really happened to your tires, Glenn. I walked closer to her property line, my heart racing. Tell me. I saw Trevor leaving your house around 9:30. He walked around your car with something in his hand, checking each tire. Then he knelt by each one, did something, and stood up, looking around to see if anyone was watching. The confirmation hit like a sledgehammer. Not random vandalism, not neighborhood kids, but my son methodically destroying my property in calculated revenge. Are you certain it was Trevor Dorothy Glenn? I've known that boy since he was little. It was him. This was right after I heard raised voices from your house. Not that I was listening intentionally, but sound carries on quiet evenings. She'd witnessed the entire sequence, our argument, his departure, his retaliation. The timeline revealed premeditated malice far beyond desperate financial need. He didn't see me sitting here in the shadows, she continued. I keep my porch light off in the evenings. Easier to see the stars. I appreciate you telling me, Dorothy. I wasn't sure if I should say anything. Family matters are delicate. But when I saw you getting those expensive new tires, I thought you deserved the truth. Let's keep this between us for now, I said, maintaining composure despite the rage building inside. Of course, Glenn. But that boy needs to learn respect for what you've built. You've worked too hard to have someone, even family, tear it down out of spite. Her words carried the weight of 40 years of neighborhood observation. She'd watched Trevor grow from a promising young man to a bitter disappointment. Thank you for being a good neighbor, Dorothy. I should get inside. It's been a long day. Take care, Glenn. If you need someone to verify what I saw, I'm not afraid to tell the truth. I nodded, touched by her loyalty, and walked toward my front door. Inside, I turned on every light standing in my living room, surrounded by 40 years of honest work and careful accumulation. Everything Trevor had tried to steal through lawyers and manipulation, everything he'd begun destroying through vandalism and betrayal. The coordinated nature of his attacks, financial manipulation, property damage, and elaborate legal trap revealed a calculated campaign, not desperate impulses. My son had declared war. It was time to respond accordingly. Dawn broke gray and overcast, matching the cold determination in my chest. Sleep had come in fragments, interrupted by mental cataloging of Trevor's betrayals and analysis of his vulnerabilities. At 7:00 a.m., I sat at my kitchen table with steaming coffee and a legal pad ready to transform 40 years of business experience into a weapon. The emotional shock had crystallized into strategic clarity. Trevor wanted to play hardball with a man who'd built an empire from nothing. It was time to remind him who taught him everything he knew. I moved to my study and pulled out the filing cabinet containing Trevor's investment history. Each manila folder represented a lesson in financial irresponsibility, a pattern of poor judgment now serving as ammunition. The Miami condo scheme, the cryptocurrency disaster, the food truck partnership with a convicted felon, all documented with contracts, bank statements, and communication records. This wasn't about revisiting failures. It was about weaponizing information. Trevor had made 3 critical mistakes. First, he'd underestimated my business connections. Second, he'd forgotten I possessed documentation of every failed venture. Third, he'd assumed family loyalty would protect him from consequences. He was wrong on all counts. I spread the documents chronologically across my desk. $75,000 lost in Miami when the developer vanished. $50,000 evaporated in cryptocurrency mining equipment that never materialized. $30,000 invested in a food truck business that collapsed when Trevor's partner, an embezzler, disappeared. Each disaster involved other investors who'd trusted Trevor because of my reputation. Marcus Thompson, who lost $25,000 in Miami. David Rodriguez, who invested $35,000 in the cryptocurrency scheme. Jennifer Walsh, who contributed $20,000 to the food truck venture. They all belonged to Lewiston's tight-knit business community. Marcus served on the Chamber of Commerce. David chaired the local investment group, and Jennifer worked in financial services, valuing transparency. I retrieved my contact database and compiled phone numbers and addresses. Anonymous tips required precision professional presentation, documented evidence plausible deniability. The construction industry had taught me that reputation destruction demanded surgical accuracy, not emotional outbursts. Phase 1 would expose Trevor's financial mismanagement to his victims. Once they compared notes, the investment community would see his systematic deception. Phase 2 would target Meredith's professional relationships. Her expensive tastes suggested vulnerabilities worth exploiting. Phase 3 would involve legal and financial consequences to prevent future schemes. I opened my laptop and created an anonymous email account for this operation. Professional courier services would handle document delivery. Timing was crucial. Friday afternoon deployment to ensure weekend processing and Monday consequences. The phone rang, startling me. Trevor's name on the caller ID. I let it ring. Whatever excuses he offered could wait. I had work to do. By 1:00 p.m., Friday, my study resembled a war room. Investment documents lay arranged chronologically across my desk, organized by investor and loss amount. 3 manila envelopes sat ready for courier delivery, each containing evidence to destroy Trevor's financial credibility. The first, addressed to Marcus Thompson, included photocopies of the Miami investment contract bank transfer records and emails showing Trevor's awareness of the developer's bankruptcy. The second, for David Rodriguez, contained cryptocurrency documentation, including an email where Trevor admitted the supplier was questionable but insisted the returns were worth it. Jennifer Walsh's package detailed the food truck disaster, with a contract showing Trevor ignored background check requirements. Each envelope included a cover letter, information for your consideration regarding Trevor Meyer's business practices. Please review the attached documentation and draw your own conclusions. No accusations, just facts, dates, and financial records. I called Premier Courier Service and arranged same-day delivery. Anonymous delivery, the dispatcher confirmed. Cash payment on pickup. Professional couriers asked no questions about anonymous packages. In 40 years, I'd learned legitimate operations often required discreet information sharing. The packages left my house at 2:30 p.m. By evening, 3 of Lewiston's most connected business professionals would be reviewing evidence of Trevor's deception. Marcus controlled influence in the Chamber of Commerce. David vetted local business opportunities, and Jennifer advised entrepreneurs. Trevor had picked the wrong people to defraud and the wrong father to betray. The phone rang again. Trevor's third attempt since last night. I answered. Dad, thank God. I've been trying to reach you. I was busy, son. About yesterday, why did you listen to Molly and leave? Did she tell you something? I was tired. It's been a long week. Listen, I'd like you to come over again. Meredith worked hard on the party. She was disappointed you couldn't stay. The casual lie rolled off his tongue. No mention of lawyers or signing papers. The party was great, I said neutrally. Thank Meredith for her hospitality. Of course. Maybe we could have lunch next week. I've been thinking about our conversation Tuesday night. I have new investment ideas that will solve your problems. More manipulation. He never learned. Let me check my schedule. I'll call you back. Sure, Dad. Love you. Goodbye, Trevor. I hung up and checked the clock, 3:15 p.m. The packages had been in transit for 45 minutes. By 6:00, 3 influential people would be reading accounts of my son's failures. The phone rang again, unknown number. I didn't answer. Part of me hoped it was Marcus Thompson verifying the information. But anonymity was crucial. Let the evidence work. By Monday, Lewiston's business community would buzz with proof of Trevor Myers' deception. Phase 1 was in motion. Monday morning confirmed my campaign's success. The phone rang 6 times before 8:00 a.m., business associates asking careful questions about Trevor's investment history. Word was spreading exactly as planned. Marcus had called David Sunday evening to compare notes. David had contacted Jennifer to verify the documents. By Monday, 3 of Lewiston's most influential professionals were warning their networks about Trevor's pattern of deception. Phase 1, complete success. Time for Phase 2. I opened a new manila folder labeled Meredith Myers Professional Standing. If Trevor was the desperate gambler, Meredith was the calculating mastermind behind the birthday trap. She deserved equal consequences. Meredith worked as a senior client relationship manager at Pinnacle Financial Consulting, handling high net worth accounts requiring absolute trust. Her position depended on her reputation for ethical behavior, perfect vulnerability. I spent the morning making discreet inquiries through my network. Construction companies worked with financial consultants, giving me legitimate reasons to ask about local firms. The information was illuminating. Meredith had been seen frequently at the Marriott Lounge on weekday afternoons with a well-dressed married executive from Portland. Multiple sources confirmed lengthy conversations over expensive wine during work hours. More interesting was her spending designer clothing, jewelry, luxury items beyond their means. Either Trevor had lied about their finances, or Meredith had hidden income sources. Both possibilities served my purpose. I drafted a professional ethics complaint to Pinnacle Financial's HR department, documenting the conflict between Meredith's role and her family's attempt to defraud elderly clients through legal manipulation. The complaint highlighted her participation in a scheme to steal my business via fraudulent documents and alcohol-induced incompetence. I included documentation of the birthday party expenses catering alcohol decorations, suggesting financial resources inconsistent with their portrayed struggles. A note suggested HR investigate Meredith's client interactions for conflicts of interest or inappropriate financial advice motivated by personal gain. The anonymous package went out Monday afternoon via courier. By Tuesday, Pinnacle Financial would be investigating their senior manager's ethics. My phone rang as I sealed the envelope unknown number. I let it ring, but noted the time. Trevor was getting desperate calling from different phones. Good. Desperation led to mistakes, and mistakes created opportunities. The destruction of both conspirators was proceeding as planned. Tuesday afternoon brought the expected sound car doors slamming in my driveway, followed by rapid footsteps. Trevor and Meredith had come together, unified in desperation. Their aggressive knocking confirmed their emotional state. I opened the door. Both stood on my porch faces, flushed with anger and panic. Trevor's confidence had evaporated, replaced by a cornered animal look. Meredith's calculated composure had cracked, revealing raw fury. "We need to talk," Trevor said, pushing past me into the house. "Now." "We know what you've been doing," Glenn Meredith added, following him into the living room. I closed the door calmly and gestured to the couch. "I've been expecting this conversation. Please sit. Don't pretend innocence." Trevor snapped, remaining standing. "You destroyed my business relationships with those anonymous letters. Marcus David and Jennifer all got information about investments you funded years ago." Meredith's anger was more controlled, but intense. "My employer received an ethics complaint yesterday. HR is investigating my client practices. Someone sent detailed information about our family financial planning. I settled into my leather armchair where this conflict had begun a week ago. Those complaints contained only factual information. Investors deserve to know about documented patterns of failure." Factual. Trevor's voice rose. "You sabotaged my reputation." "I shared truth," I replied evenly. "If truth damages your reputation, the problem lies with your actions, not my disclosure." Meredith leaned forward. "You're destroying my career over a family disagreement." "Let's discuss what happened," I said, reaching for a prepared folder. "You planned to steal 40 years of my work through fraud." I opened the file, revealing documentation of their betrayal. "Molly told me about the lawyers waiting upstairs at your birthday party. Mrs. Henderson saw Trevor puncture my tires after our argument. This wasn't desperation, it was premeditated theft." The color drained from their faces as they realized the scope of my knowledge. Tuesday's argument about money I continued. Wednesday morning's tire vandalism in retaliation. Thursday's elaborate trap with alcohol lawyers and legal documents to transfer my business assets. Trevor's defiance crumbled. "Dad, you don't understand the pressure we're under." "I understand perfectly," I interrupted. "You decided stealing from your father was easier than building your own success. Meredith orchestrated a sophisticated fraud using her knowledge of elder financial manipulation." "This is still family," Meredith protested weakly. "You stopped being family when you planned to rob me," I replied. "Every consequence you're facing is earned through your choices." Trevor slumped onto the couch, understanding his defeat. Meredith remained rigid, calculating damage control. "The investors will never trust you again, Trevor." "Your business reputation is finished," I continued. "Meredith, your ethics investigation will likely end your career. These are natural consequences of attempted theft and fraud." What about Molly? Meredith asked desperately. Molly's future is secure. Unlike her parents, she chose to protect family instead of exploiting it. Her college education and prospects are unaffected by your consequences. I stood, signaling the conversation's end. You declared war through systematic betrayal. I responded with systematic truth-telling. Justice isn't revenge, it's accountability. They left without another word, walking to their car, with the defeated posture of people who'd gambled everything and lost. I watched from my porch as their taillights disappeared. The phone rang. Molly's name on the caller ID. Grandpa, are you okay? I heard Mom and Dad talking about some investigation. Everything's fine, Molly. Justice has been served, and your future is safe. I love you, Grandpa. I love you too. 40 years of honest work remained protected in honest hands. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To listen to the next story, click the box on the left. Thank you for watching.